God, that's out of focus. There we go. Now you can see my face. Hello, everyone. How are we doing? We managed to do at least one stream this week before we have our record 5th heat wave this week, which is extremely poorly timed. Yes. Yes. How are we doing? Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, wherever you are in this wonderful world of ours. The world of Warhammer, to be precise. How's it going? Ooh, we've got some big celebrations here. Mark, who's been a member for 60 months. Ladies and gentlemen, that is 5 years. You might be our oldest subscriber, our longest member, Mark. I think you probably are. That is incredibly kind and generous of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support over the last 5 years, Mark. Honestly, without people like you, we wouldn't be doing this. It's amazing. Thank you so much. And Fake Street Spirit has been a member for 30 months as well. What's that? 12, 24, 2.5 years. There you go. Amazing. Thank you so much. Hey ho, let's go. Good afternoon, Josh. Good afternoon to you both. And hey ho, let's go indeed. Hello, Zangerous. Ricky Drinks Paint, hello. What news from the Mark, Rider of Rohan? Oh boy. We'll get into it in a minute. We will get into it in a minute. Hey, Mark, how are you finding Grand Cathay? That's a great question. How are you finding Grand Cathay, Mark? Good evening. Good evening. Hello, the Mini Creative, who's been a member for 35 months. You are coming up on your 3rd year. You're a legend. You're all legends. Love you so much. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chris. Hello, Ash Coleman. Nerva, your Mirkwood Elves painting tutorial really helped me out and loving the result. Thanks for the video. Oh, wow. You're the second person. That's awesome. I'm glad it's worked. Miss you, Josh. Miss you too, Reza. I had a lovely weekend with you. It was so nice to spend a weekend with you. You're an absolute bloody legend. And a bloody bloke. You're an absolute legend. I'm glad you... well, I hope you had a nice weekend. That focus suggested a different type of stream. What? A tired stream. I am very tired. I had an incredibly long weekend. And in both senses of the words of incredible. Incredible and incredibly long. When a constant heat wave's the actual climate. Well, it kind of feels like that is that way now, doesn't it? Which means that's pretty much the end of the channel. If this is just life now, I can't do this. I can't paint like this. I can't basically just become a night shift worker entirely. I like to be up during the day, you know. So hopefully it starts to cool down eventually. We can't be having another. It's just outrageous this week. Outrageous. It's gonna be horrible. Oh. Hello, Mini Painting Dad. Good afternoon from my beach holiday on Fuerteventura. Hope you're out doing well. Not as well as you. Hope you're enjoying Fuerteventura. But thank you very much for a member for 36 months. My goodness me. You guys, honestly, you keep us going. Legends, and myths. Well, you're not myths. You're here. You're real. I can see you, ish. Not literally. I can see you in the chat. Who was the MVP of your list at Ardacon, and why was it AMR? It was not AMR, believe me. Not even close. Not even close. Mini Painted Dad with the 20 euros. Thank you very much. A few bucks for you to continue and hold on. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much. I tell you what, in celebration of Mark's 5 years of membership, let's gift 5 members to the community. Let's do it. Straight from the very beginning of the stream. Let's do it. I'll start us off. Legend. We got a window AC unit this year to help out the top floor. So glad we did before all this heat. I mean, yeah. I mean, I just gotta go. Just gotta move. We can't hack it here anymore. It's just impossible. I can't have my studio be up here. It can't be up here. Just can't be done. Hello there, Josh. Just watched your Lord on Chaos Dragon. What a beast of a model and awesome paint job. Reminded me of Angron video a bit. That's a good point. I should have looked at that video for some tips on the red. I completely forgot about him. I'll remember that next time I have to do a giant red thing. Yeah, so this weekend, Ardacon. Ardacon was this weekend. And, well, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was really good fun. It recaptured my youth in many ways. Just a weekend of hardcore Lord of the Rings. Just, 3 days straight. Slinging dice on the tabletops of Arda. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. I lost 9 out of my 10 games. It's my single worst performance at any event I've ever been to in my entire life. Lost 9 out of 10. 7 games in the singles. I lost 6 of those and won 1. And in the doubles, lost all 3 of them. Now, Adam and I, because we lost all 3 of them so spectacularly, we actually did win most sporting most sporting individuals there. So that was really, really, really touching. That was great. That was wonderful. I loved that. Arguably, that's the better award. Real paragons of the game, just losing left, right, and centre. Oh, it was just fun. It was really funny. I think being humbled that bad, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, but when I go to a 40k or an Age of Sigmar tournament, they're games I am quite intimately familiar with, and I know them very, very well. So if I do that badly, I would probably be a little bit bummed out. I would be very bummed out if that happened. But with this one, I am not ashamed to admit this, but I would say that I am probably, by the standard of people that were there, maybe Reza and I together were the biggest hobby tourists of Ardacon, for sure. If we're gonna use that disgraceful terminology. But I am such a part-time player in MESBG that it felt right. It felt right to walk away with 9 losses and 1. To be honest, it felt wrong to even have the 1 win. So yeah, it was great. I now feel very confident that I know how to use my list, which was Riders of Aemir. It doesn't play the way you think it should. It really doesn't. It's strange. You think you should be just banging left, right, and centre cavalry charges into every single opponent that you face. And that might well be true if you were fighting up against, say, any evil armies whatsoever. But I did not fight a single evil army all weekend, which was such a bummer, honestly. It's so lame. I fought... I'll see if I can remember the order. It was Rivendell, Rohan, Rivendell, Khazad, Rivendell, Thorin's Company. That was I was there with my riders. I kept saying to everybody, Rezel back me up here. I kept saying to everybody, I just want to fight an orc. I just want to fight at least 1 orc this weekend. Nope, no orcs for Josh. Just high elves and Rohirrim and then dwarven kings. Tom Turtle, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. That is very kind of you. Thanks for teaching me how to paint. Oh, you're very welcome. And Nova, thank you very much for the €5 as well. Wow, you're very generous. Thank you so much. You got so lucky with your matchups. I think you mean unlucky there, my friend. I genuinely, I don't know if I said this to you, Rez, but at one point, I think it was it was on the second game. Or the third game. It was one of the games on the second day where it was the game on, that's it. It was the game Anyway, it doesn't matter which game it was, but it was quite deep into the tournament. I think it might have been the first game of the day. I look to my right and I see orcs fighting orcs, and I look to my left and I see orcs fighting orcs, and I look to my opponent and I'm fighting Rivendell. I'm like, what is this? What is this matchup? We're on the bottom tables. We are on the bottom tables. Why am I getting Rivendell, Rohan, Rivendell, Khazad, Rivendell, Thorin's Company? Why is that happening? It was so lame. It was like my last trip to Age of Sigmar Golden Ticket, where I was like, I've got a really good list. I still maintain that was a very, very good list. It's just a terrible list if all you do is fight Monster Mash for 5 games. And guess what I fought? Monster Mash for 5 games. It was a miracle I even managed to win a couple of those games, to be honest. I don't know what it is. I've carried some sort of bad luck through, like the heat waves. Well, I think we're all suffering from that bad luck, you know. Maybe we're finally at the end of the streak of the bad luck. I think James mentioned in the Discord the other day that he's had this streak of receiving kits that have got really thick mold lines on, and I was like, actually, do you know what? Mine's actually stopped recently. I've had some really good, really good condition kits. So maybe in that regard, I've spent all my luck. I would take getting bad condition kits over going to an event and just fighting hard counters to whatever my list was. Oh, it was so fun. It was so fun. Now, here's the thing. For those of you who are not interested or don't know anything about Middle-earth strategy battle games, if you're thinking about getting into it, I think you really should. I think you should have a go. Because it is an extremely fun game to learn, and I think once you learn the sort of basics and mechanics of it, it all starts to make sense. It feels a little bit obtuse at start, and there's a lot of like slightly strange interactions that sit there, and not in the same way that like 40k is there, you know, stuff like. And it didn't really come up. It only came up in one of my games where there was a climb test that had to be made by some guys that were going up in a tower. But that's the sort of thing that happens, and you know, there's the being unhorsed and all this kind of thing. There's little bits of granularity to it, but actually the game in and of itself is not that dissimilar to what I vaguely remember from when I was a teenager. It's not really. There's a number of like streamlined things here, and a couple of, I think, slightly gamey choices here and there for MESBG. I think there is a sort of element of, it's a bit more of a war game now than it ever has been, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's not for me to comment, because I'm such a, like I said, I'm such a part-time hobbyist when it comes to what's it called, MESBG. So it's not for me to be like, this is what they all have to change. It's just my experience of things. Did you get Best Painted? I did not even submit for Best Painted Mini Creative. I didn't. I felt weird about doing that. I was like, no, I don't think it's. I don't think it's up to me to put in here. I really wanted. I loved how much Ardacon felt like this big celebration of something that everybody there, everybody I spoke to, everybody I interacted with, everybody I played, loved it. And I don't get that same sense from people who are there at 40k and a little bit more so these days, Age of Sigmar. And I'll explain that in the sense that, like, when you go to a 40k event, there's a lot of, I think you encounter a lot of people there who aren't, I think if you just, if you change the name of the game and slightly tweaked it, it's not really about the game at a certain point for some people. I think it's more about the winning the game, you know? It's not really about the world. I get that sense that, like, there's people really passionate about the mechanics of the game and less so about the world of Warhammer 40,000. And to a degree that happens in Age of Sigmar as well. But at Lord of the Rings, it was like everybody loved Lord of the Rings, you know? And, like, the hobby standard, I've just seen Ash say there, the hobby standard is insane. It's so high. It's so nice. Like, you're there and you're like, wow, everybody's got really nicely painted armies. Everybody's just super into this. You can crack a joke about Lord of the Rings and someone will respond. The amount of times during the game when you're doing a roll-off, when we would do the roll-off, the priority roll-off, and it would be like, okay, you've won it, what do you want to do? And I would say, if you just change the inflection of, if you said, I'll take it, people will go, okay, cool. But if you go, I will take it, there will be somebody who will go, I will take the ring to Mordor. You know? That kind of thing. So, like, I thought that it was just like, it was a really pure celebration of hobby and of the tabletop game of MESBG. So I thoroughly recommend, ladies and gentlemen, if you have ever been on the fence about it, you should absolutely get involved, because I think it is, at least as my experience, and I haven't experienced every game ever and every event ever, but in my experience of Ardacon was that it was the most passionate I have felt or seen a community be about a war game in a very, very long time. I'm talking 6-7 years, pre-COVID. I've seen a lot of people who've been very passionate about playing the game, but not about 40k. It's not since like going to like Fun and Fluff where people would be like, this is Torvar Whole Dragon, there's such and such a blah blah blah, and you go, wow, you really love Space Wolves, don't you? And they, oh yeah, really love Space Wolves. So you go, wow, that's cool. And I haven't really felt that kind of vibe from the other games that I've experienced, the other events that I've experienced, unless I've been ever since being to Ardacon. So yeah, the standard of hobby was exceptional. Everybody was lovely that I played and interacted with. Everybody loved the thing that they were there for. I think it's a truly special thing to be a part of, and I really just was very, very much humbled by how wonderful an experience it was. And that's why it doesn't hurt that I lost 9 games out of the 10 that I played in 3 days. You see what I mean? En route to play my second ever game of MESBG as we speak. That's awesome, Julian. I really hope you enjoy it. I do think, like, I think if I was to be slightly critical of the game, there are moments where it can be just the rock paper scissors of the list that you face, the scenario that you're in, and who wins the first roll off. There were games where it was like, okay, you know, I can't win this, you know, there's just no way for me to win. I can't contest this, you know. As like the Khazad game, it's for those of you who know MESBG, it's the one where there's just one objective in the middle and you have to hold it. And you win by holding it with more models, basically, is fundamentally what it is. And on the face of it, it's pretty simple. It's got Maelstrom deployment, so you might not deploy your entire army together. One warband might come in over there, one warband might come in over here, and so on and so forth, which is a problem, right? But fundamentally, it's just push everything into the middle and have a big old fight. But the dwarves are all dominant too, so if you've got 40 dwarves, you've actually got 80 dwarves when you're standing on the central objective. And they've all got defense 7, defense 8, which means I'm wounding on 6s at best with every single weapon that I have, you know. So if I go and stand in the middle, I'll just get cleaved in twain by throwing axes and axes. He had the 2 mirrors that you put there, which means my shooting becomes worse. See, so it's just matchup dependent in that regard. The scenario and the matchup, I'd have had to play like an absolute demon to win that. And I didn't do a bad job at all. I didn't think I did a bad job in that game at all. I was this close to breaking him. I was like 2 dwarves off from breaking him. I was really, 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 really lucky with my dice rolls. And he was very, very unlucky with his dice rolls. But that kind of luck swing in like a game, again, like in a game like Age of Sigmar or 40k. In Age of Sigmar, that kind of luck swing would have meant I would have tabled him by the end of turn 3. And won the game 100 points to 0, you know. Whereas in this, it was like, I did lose the game 18 points to 1. But I was this close. It was like a couple of dice rolls and swing, just here and there. So I do think there's a degree of that where I think it needs to be a little less war gamey. I do think, like, I do love the format that I used to play when I was a teenager, which was you brought an evil and a good army, and you only ever fought evil against good and good against evil. I think that's a great format. I completely understand why an event like Ardacon that wants to run 700 or 800 points in the games, people don't want to take 2 800-point armies to an event. That's a lot of models to be hauling around the country or hauling from overseas. I played a man from Chile, and it was a wonderful game. That was incredible. He told me, I spoke up to him after, and he said, he asked me how far I'd come, and I went, oh, it's not that far. I come from Cheltenham, and he was like, where? And I was like, do you know where Bristol is? He was like, no, I'm from Chile. And I was like, oh, you've come quite a long way. Is there already an Ogre Spearhead? I do not want to spend 160 bucks on the big box. That is the Ogre Spearhead, I believe. There will probably be another one that will come out sooner rather than later, because there's one in the book that's different. I don't know if that's been announced, though. It's gone on pre-order. It's not like there was a lack of evil. They were everywhere, but I just didn't get to do anything. Hobby Standard is crazy in MESBG. They all love a display board. Yeah, I mean, there's just some breathtaking work there. So I was just like, no, guys, you guys should be duking it out. I'm not going to put my models in. There's no way. You know? The MESBG group is great. When I was at Nova Open, they had the best boards. Everyone was playing on dioramas. Oh yeah, that was the thing. There were a couple of boards where we were very unlucky. We played our first doubles game, Adam and I. It was just, again, it was a perfect storm of matchup of Riders of Aemir on a dense Osgiliath ruins board, playing the encircled one. Breakout, I think is what it's called. Doubles mission against Bjornings, and I started with a bear 4 inches away from the back of my 14 Riders of Aemir. Riders of Aemir. I was like, cool. So yeah, that was just terrible matchup on a terrible board in a terrible scenario. So what you're saying is MESBG is good and bribes are good? Absolutely. It is great. It is great. Look, like I said, there's a couple of things I would tweak about the game itself if it was me making the decisions. I would try and make it a little less like it. I think the vast majority of the time it's probably less rock paper scissors, but there are just moments where it's like, nah, you've got no chance. The final game we played was Clash of Champions or whatever it's called. Nominate a character from your warband, put them in the middle with their warband, 3 inches away from, in a 3-inch circle, and then you deploy the warband within 6 inches in your deployment zone. Your opponent does the same thing. Now, if you play against an army, that's absolutely fine. But in that one, I played against Thorin's company. 7 dwarf characters, 6 dwarf characters, and 2 wizards with Radagast on his sled. And they're 3 inches away. And then I lost the priority roll-off, I lost the heroic roll-off, and then I couldn't resist the Wrath of Nature or whatever magical spell that went off. So the very first thing that happened was like 8 of my riders and AML were all unhorsed, and then like 4 of them died to the strength 4 hits immediately after. So I was like, cool. And I can't might up, because their fight value was all higher than all of mine. So it was just a case of literally just roll your dice. If you roll a 6, you win. And he kept rolling 6s, and he kept winning. And it's like, cool. I was like, yeah, there is literally nothing I can do in that situation. You know? If I'd have won the heroic roll-off, my entire army would have ran away 10 inches, and I think I would have won that game. I'd have just brought everything back, and then he wouldn't have been able to catch me, and I would have just used all of my bows the next turn. Leave like 1 or 2 riders as a roadblock for Radagast's sled, so he can't like hit my entire army. But yeah, I just lost that. You mean more MESBG is great? It is indeed. It is indeed. It is indeed. Hello, Abdul. You fought literally on Osgiliath. I would have loved it, but for you, it's awful. Oh, yeah, no, it's terrible. Especially that situation. Is there an ETA on the Glutton vid? Would love to get the box painted before the next wave. It's going to be on Thursday, the Gluttons vid. So you'll have enough time, because the stuff goes on pre-order this weekend, doesn't it? So if you order the new stuff, it won't arrive for 2 weeks. So yeah, it goes on video. It goes on... the video will go live on Thursday. Games Workshop. Trailer. I need to look at how to paint Olwyn, Freylaf, and Leaf. Because I get the feeling that actually the way to paint these guys is probably using less of a contrast plus method. At least their horses. Their horses are very specific character, very specific color schemes that are very nice, but they're very different to any other horse. And I kind of want to get them as box accurate as possible. I think maybe only Leaf. Not Leaf. Olwyn's horse is probably the most simple one to do. Not entirely sure. Dragon Emperor would have helped in that situation. Oh, you got 22 might coming at you and 2 wizards. There's not a lot you can do. They can heroic strike up to win any fight. Thorin is fight value 7. He can go up to 9. And then he just wins the fight. Two wizards mean it's really easy to transfix, so even if I did win that fight, I wouldn't be able to do anything. I'd be fight value 1. So yeah. Anyway, what have you guys been up to? Ardacon's fantastic. I think you should all go if you ever get the opportunity. It's the most international tournament I've ever been to. Wonderful time had by all. I hope. Even those of us who lost all of our games. Apart from one. The only reason I won my one game is because, again, it came down to what... It's cinematic, right? But... it came down to my opponent. If he'd rolled a 1 or a 2 for the game to end, then he would have won. But he didn't, and then my riders encircled the relic, and I stopped him from running away with it. I've actually been doing some painting. I got Mathala done. She drove me to the edge. Thanks so much for your tutorial. Well done. That model drove me to the edge as well. Anyway, I wanted to try and do some hobby today. It's really hot. So it's very difficult to do anything, but I have an idea for how we could maybe do. And I want to just quickly look at this because I think the color is correct. Yeah. 1-to-1 mix of Doombull Brown and Mornfang Brown. So we can maybe get a start on that. maybe. Let's try it. Let's see. Let's see if I've got what it takes. Continue painting the new Riders of Rohan, specifically the horses. Nice. Yeah, it's definitely the right colour. Let's try this. It's going to be a bit of a continuation of one of the other videos, so there'll be more context for this later on, but so given everything that we've actually just learned about our ability to paint horses with sort of more traditional colours, let's move on to our characters, and we're going to start with Olwyn here, and we're not going to be using the same recipes that we've already done in the video, but instead we're going to try and use a few little techniques that we've picked up. So for her, what we're going to do first for her horse is we're going to take our roughly 1-to-1 mix of Mournfang Brown and Doombull Brown. I'm going to apply this over top of all of the horse's skin, but we are just going to leave the socks of the horse, and we're also going to leave the tail and the mane as well, and we'll also try and leave a little bit of the nose. Now this will take probably 2 thin coats. We only need to bring this down to around about there, like that. Face cam. Going to play my first war game today, playing Trench Crusade. Nice. I don't know a lot about Trench Crusade. I don't even know if the games are any fun. Has anyone else played Trench Crusade? This is something I was curious about. How do you know the colours? Just by looking after those years, or do you do some test runs or something? Nope, it's just it's mostly just experience, having tried stuff, get it right most of the time. If you know the paints really well, then you know what they're going to do and you know how they're going to look. The key thing is to know your paint. That's why, like, just like constantly experimenting with new paint means you just lose that kind of experience, as it were. Like, if you find a really good white recipe, or a really good white paint, or a really good brown paint or something, I'd recommend keep sticking with it and just keep trialing and testing until you find the right ones for you. Because if you're just constantly buying new paint that's a different color, you might not necessarily know how it interacts with things. But when you've used like Black Legion as much as I have, you know how Black Legion's going to work. But I don't do test runs or anything like that. I don't have time for that. I don't have the models for that. If only I had the models for that. There's like 1,000 videos on the channel, so I know how the paints work. In this instance, I have got the first half of this video is following the horse recipes from the new supplement book that came out for MESBG, and I then wanted to take elements of that and take it forward to blend in some of those techniques that I learned from that one into this model, rather than mucking about trying to get the contrast mixes down. It's just like, we don't need to do that, you know. Especially if I then muck up said mix and then have to recorrect it anyway. It's prosecuting the process is what we talk about. Could we maybe get close to Olwyn's like nice red horse? Yeah, probably. If we went with like, you know, endless mixes and various things of Gore-Grunter fur and then shaded it down with some red. But all we're doing there is we're opening ourselves up to making inevitable mistakes and then having to correct it with the glaze anyway, which then overcomplicates the video and therefore people get mad about that. Whereas if I can do it in fewer steps by doing this sort of mix, I absolutely will do. Chat, can we get to 50 likes on the stream? Can we get to 50 members? Talking complicated, just started Ardacon. Wings done over the last couple of days. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sometimes you can't avoid it being complicated. Sometimes. just some models are just complicated, you know. Like Festus the Leech Lord. They are just a little bit more sort of technically difficult, as it were. Andy, is anyone else burnt out on 40k? I feel like the new Sigmar and Old World stuff is so much more detailed. Been a bit disappointed with 40k aesthetics-wise in this edition so far. Well, I mean, it hasn't been a lot of this edition so far, Andy. But yeah, I get you. I think 40k had some momentum with Armageddon, but I didn't think it had a lot of momentum with Armageddon. And I think a lot of people have been very much excited for the next wave of things, especially when it comes to stuff like the new Orcs, for example. But because it's been very quiet until today when they shared the Nobs and the Warbikers, it's felt like it's just been exhausting waiting for it. You know? So yeah, it's a funny one with 40k. I think the best is yet to come, hopefully. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, they said there's more on the way for the Orcs that they have previewed today, so who knows what those will be. Glad you enjoyed Ardacon, mate. Hope to see you there in the future. Oh, it was fantastic. It was really good. I'd like to go again, I think. I might go again next year, but just do the doubles. Rather than do it twice. I would very much like to get some more games in and paint some more lists though, and try some different things. I've done one. Maybe the road of redemption for me is to do an Ardacon with not Rohan to get even better at the game, and then to return at first light on the 5th Ardacon with Riders of Aemir and try and do better with it. Maybe there's a Herculean story in there, as it were. But I don't know yet. We'll see. Such an incredible event. No, I think if you, I've said this already on this stream, but if you are after a game with a group of people that really celebrates war, just tabletop wargaming and the hobby in general, then it's tough to find one better than Ardacon, I would say. They've done such a fantastic job with that event and that community. I wonder if I can convince a bunch of you to if I can convince a bunch of you to buy tickets and go. That would be great. We could make Team Warhipster rise again. I just need 8 companions. Nine companions. So be it. You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring. Is it the same weekend each year? I think so, yeah. Would highly recommend going to Seven Stones if you get a chance. It's in London every May bank holiday, run by some big names in the GBHL. It's pure fluffiness. Great British Hobby League, for a Hobbit League, for those who don't know. I think that's pretty cool. It's pure fluffiness and love for the MESBG. I just think that's just the general vibe, isn't it, Ricky? I know you don't enjoy painting orcs that much, but I can't wait for your War Bikers tutorial later. If Games Workshop sends it to me, I'll try and do it. Depends on whether or not we're in the middle of another bloody heat wave, which I'm sure we will be by then. Mid-November or something, I don't know. Hello, brother Kalen. Hello, Ardacon. We've been saying lots of very lovely things about you. It was an absolutely fantastic, wonderful experience to come to your tournament and to your event. I was saying that the scale of passion and the level of hobby and the level of love for your game for MESBG was orders of magnitude higher than any other event I think I've ever been to, and I think that's real testament to the community that you've built, but also to the game itself. I have many things I would change about the game in terms of like the rock paper scissors thing of it, but next time, buddy, I will come if you can promise me that I'll actually fight some orcs. You kept matching me with Rivendell over and over and over again. It was outrageous. But no, it was honestly, I felt like I was on safari, you know, a little bit. Like just being, as I said before, I don't like the term and I don't like when people use it about people, but I was very much, at times I felt very much like a tourist in MESBG, in a good way, I would say. Because I'm not like a huge part of the MESBG community, but it is an amazing one to be a part of and to see in action. And I think it's testament to the thing that you've built over many years, man. Honestly, it's a wonderful experience that is I'm recommending to everyone here. Just don't take Riders of AMR and fight Rivendell 4 times in 2 days. Yeah. Everyone was so welcoming and lovely to newcomers. Yeah, exactly. And the fact that it was as international, I said it's the most international event I've ever been to. I'll get mine out, orcs that is, and you can gloriously ride over them. We can set a date for that, my friend, but given as I lost 9 out of 10, you'll probably ride over me anyway, but at least it'll be at least I'll be like, finally some orcs. That was fantastic, honestly. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful event. Beautiful people. Wonderful standard of hobby. Incredible. And it's, yeah, just a fantastic thing. And I think everybody should go at least once. If not multiple times. How big are you going for next year? Are you going to go for 300? 400? 500? Stop me when I get too big. 700? 800? 900? Shoot for 300? If there's anything I can do, I'm sure we can have a chat or something. Once your brain has cleared from the amount of heroic effort that you've put in over the weekend. If there's something that we can do to sort of start building for the next one and you want my help, please just let's have a conversation. Because I'm fully up for supporting and growing it if I can. Because it's definitely worthy of it, for sure. This one's got a horse in it. Let's put a bit of red into this model by throwing in maybe some Mephiston. Let's have a look at what Mephiston and Doomville Brown looks like. Because it's a very red horse in the box art. So I'm going to go 1 Doomville Brown. And 1 Mephiston Red. We'll see what that looks like. Extremely red is the answer. What model is it? It is Olwyn. So we want 2 to 1. 600-700. 6-7. My favourite part of that was how much it bothered Adam. Right. So then what we need is to do that. Go like this. So with that mix all applied, what we're now going to do is going to create a glaze. And it's going to be a roughly 2 parts Doomville Brown to 1 part Mephiston Red. This is a very, very red horse. And what we're going to do is we're just going to apply this over the top of the raised muscles. Just like that sort of thing. Just going to leave our previous layer nestling in the recesses. We really want to just get this red vibe on to the muscle groups. Just like that sort of thing. Yeah, there's a couple of really nice horse recipes in the new supplement. Which I have done a video about me failing at painting them. So that video will come out once I've finished Freylaf, Olwyn and Leaf. So that gives me good impetus to try and do this whenever I get a spare minute. Which is kind of what we have now whilst we're streaming. Which I think if we then do another glaze to make it a little bit brighter, we can then hit it with a highlight. And we can hit it with a shade. Maybe next Ardacon I'll take Army of Edoras. What are you painting tonight, Josh? I'm currently experimenting my way through a horse. So then what we do is we take Rhinox hide, based on the context of this video. I'm definitely going to need a new pot of Rhinox hide. I have to do a paint order and I really don't want to. And then we go like this, and then we go like that, and then we go like this. And so with that redder glaze now applied, we're going to take some thinned down Rhinox hide, and again we're going to thin this down with sort of 4 or 5 parts water to 1 part Rhinox hide. And we're going to paint this into the recesses. Provide some of that lovely depth. Just like that. then maybe we just get away with some tusk or fur as the highlight. Maybe. Maybe, baby. Is there a Contrast Plus video on it? Yes, there is. There's a video on it on how I did it on the Tiny Titans. I did the live stream, a 24-hour live stream on this one, which unfortunately I did. Which I think you can. I think that's all available. But if you want to watch how to paint it, you just follow the Tiny Titans video. After I've painted my Rohan army, I've had nightmares about having to paint more horses. I actually have become... I've gotten more and more... I'm enjoying painting horses a lot. I like the experiment that it brings, you know. In some cases. Name is long enough to be annoying. Who was here earlier. Very much doesn't enjoy painting horses at all, and I fully get it. Because it used to really irritate me as well. Ah, he is still here. Hello, mate. But having recently been experimenting with this way of painting him based on the book, it actually goes pretty fast. And like in the video that's going to be coming out at some point once I finish these guys, is the black recipe that is in the book is fantastic. Burning of the Westfold. Yeah, that's the one. That I will say, when you say F horses, so, not all horses are created equal. That's for sure. The Doomfire Warlocks are an example of bad horses. So with that all done, we've now got the depth in the horse, so now we need to apply the highlight. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a little bit of some thinned down tusk or fur, and we're just going to use this to add some little highlights along the muscles. Here we go. Lovely stuff. I wish GW would just release the last 3 things Rohan need and the whole range is refreshed. There's a couple, I think there's a few more bits and bobs than 3. I think it's basically mounted command, gambling, and hammer, and the knights on foot and on horse. I hated the Rivendell Night Horses, but like what I was able to do for Elrond's and Glorfindel's not enough to commit to finishing a Grief of AMF. That's fair. Let me look at Olwyn's vibe. Okay, so the girth strap is black. Interesting. Okay. Black Legion. But the rest of it's brown. Interesting. It's not often you get different colours in the So with that all done, we're actually just going to skip over the socks just for the moment, and we're going to take some Black Legion, and we're going to apply this over the top of the tail, the mane, the girth strap underneath the saddle, and we're going to apply this over the top of the hooves. Refresh of Warg attack heroes with foot version of Theoden. Yeah, that would work. You'd probably want a 3 hunters on horse. In the same way as well that they do with you know, like how Gandalf and Pippin and Eowyn and Merry have a removable hobbit. You'd want Legolas on horse to be the same, to have a removable Gimli, so that you can use a new plastic lovely model. The metal one's gorgeous though. Another wonderful bribe from Name is Long Enough to Be Annoying. The banner in plastic would be amazing. It is an easy conversion. I did one for the weekend. But yes, one that you don't have to convert would be good. As well as being able to have a captain on horse that you can also have in armor or in heavy armor. Maybe give him the ability to have a throwing spear. Something like that. What colour am I painting right now, Josh? I don't know. Are you blue? Gold? Ah, you're doing gold. I see. I thought we'd change tack. I thought we were thinking about doing the Easterlings in brass. Because it's closer to what they are in the movie. Have I got that wrong in my head? Not GW scheme, you're right. Yeah, okay, yeah. I was going to ask you actually a follow-up question on that. If we're doing them in the brass, does that mean we're going to go for the red being a little bit more sort of wine-coloured? Because that's also a thing in the film, isn't it? It's got a little... It's more burgundy than it is crimson, like it is in the GW scheme. The basic Easterling troop sculpts are pretty terrible, in my opinion. that is fair. Right, we need some Agarax Earthshade, which I have here somewhere. That's Targor. That's Null. That's Black Templar. Grax Earthshade. Yeah, he got it. Over filming. The black dragons look amazing, though. We have some black dragons, courtesy of Name is Long Enough to Be Annoying. There is an Easterlings thing that we're going to be doing at some point this year. In the next 4 months, at least. With that Black Legion all applied, we now take some Agrax Earthshade and we apply this over top of the socks. Our horse is looking amazing. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Yeah, we just started it just now. So we're gonna get this Agrax Earthshade on, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some Rakarth flesh, and we're gonna thin that down just a little bit more than we would normally, and we're gonna use that as a glaze to both relayer and smooth out the socks if we need to, / add a little bit of brightness, but also apply that fade from the brown into the socks and apply the little bit of paleness that you see on the box art on the horse's nose. We do have to wait for the Agrax Earthshade to dry, but that will not take very long at all, given as it's extremely warm up here. But that's the plan. Apply this over the top of the teeth as well. Why not? So we just leave that just for the moment. Hang out, chat for a bit. Hey, how's it going? Am I imagining it, or does she have green shoes? She does have slightly green shoes. That's interesting. Never seen that before. Yeah, I think Rakarth flesh is the right way to go. Good evening, Miniature Fantasy Adventures. A question to everybody: how much a good-looking board impacts the whole experience of wargaming? I'm thinking about trying to make one for my MESBG games. I think it certainly lends to the story that you're trying to tell by playing the game. I think it's a really wonderful thing to do for the people that you're going to play with, and it's a really wonderful way of injecting some story into your games by having a really cool looking board. So I think it's worth doing. But only if you want to, you know. Board Baobab, thank you very much for the 35. Can you paint the Reeboks Extraction Squad if you haven't already? Love your work. 90% of my models are painted following your videos. They're on the list of things I want to do. I don't know when, but there is something I do want to do. But thank you very much. Let's go like this. With that Agrak Surf shade all applied, we then take some Rakarth flesh and we thin this down just a little bit more than we would normally. Sort of, well, 3 or 4 parts water to 1 part Rakarth flesh. And we're going to use this to add a little bit of glaze to blend our socks, relayer our socks, and to add a little bit of colour to the horse's nose. So we apply this like that, crossing over into our sort of brown area. We wash the brush, touch off the water, then we just come back the other way and just feather away at it to give a little blend between the two colours. And that sort of thing. And similarly, over the nose. Just like that sort of thing. And then I think we just need a little touch of powdered witch flesh, and we're going to finish off the horse. Ah, no, we're not. We need something to do with the horse's hair. Maybe storm vermin fur? Oh yeah, storm vermin fur, yeah, for sure. Let's do that now. Filming. Whilst we wait for that Rakarth flesh to dry, we are then going to take some storm vermin fur. I'm going to use this to highlight the horse's hair. Those horses can bite the big one. Warlocks, not yours. I assumed. I assumed you were talking about the warlocks. He wanted me to ask you about some big ugly demon with a portal for Thousand Suns. A mutalith vortex beast. By any chance? Mandatory Easterlings and Eisenbribe. That's very kind of you, sir. Oh. Chat broke. Oh no, I can't say anything. No. Come back. It has returned. Thank you very much. Name is not enough to be annoying with the overly generous, apparently mandatory, but not required. $100 super chat. That's exceptionally generous of you. Thank you so much. Bloody legend. Crazy boy. Right, let's do pallid witch flesh to finish. Filming. So with that highlight to the hair all done, we now take a little bit of some thinned down pallid witch flesh. And we use this to use some highlights over our Rakar flesh areas. And all we need to do is you just need to do these tiny little marks, basically around the sharpest points. Just little tiny brush strokes. Like that sort of thing. Bribes are not mandatory. In the same way that supporting the channel is not mandatory. If you don't want to support the channel, you don't have to support the channel. But it's very much appreciated when you guys do. Do do do. Not bad. Not mandatory, but very helpful. Indeed, they are incredibly helpful. They help keep the lights on. They help help me make the videos in the first place. You know, without community support, you just can't really do this as a full-time job. If I can't do this as a full-time job, the painting something like, well, just doing something like Cathay means rather than doing it when I have a spare moment to do it or when it's relevant, it means it happens in 5-10 years time, because this isn't my job. If it's not my full-time job. That's the thing. Hello, Jacob. I still got a Mordor War host and a flying Nazgul to do. So do I. What I need is significantly more time, and I need significantly less heat waves. Really, that would be the ultimate gift. The ultimate gift. Necromunda models when? I do not have them, Jacob, I'm afraid. But thank you very much for the $5 super chat. That's very kind of you. I don't have them. If I had them, I would have tried to have done some, but Games Workshop didn't send them to me. So with that all done, the horse is mostly finished. We actually did apply a little bit of pallid witch flesh in the back corner of the eye as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to take some wildwood up next. And we're just going to apply this over the top of the horse's bridle and reins. Painting the riders and the Chaos Dragon last week has completely wiped out a bunch of my paints. So I have rather expensive paint order that's going to need to go in soon. Because of all this damned heat. I'm furious that we're about to have our fifth heat wave. when I checked it last night, it was saying that this Thursday it's going to be 34 degrees Celsius here in Cheltenham, which means in my office it's going to be 40 plus, which means Josh won't get to do any painting on Thursday, at least not until like 3 o'clock in the morning, and even then it'll be awful because the heat won't have cooked off yet, which is just sucks. Which, you know, is partly the reason why I'm considering picking up some SD cards to maybe try and shoot something downstairs. But again, it's not worth like carting my whole setup downstairs to be able to still be really hot and not be able to paint, you know. There we go. That all should be looking much more finished. There you go. What do you think of that? There's some metallics to do for the horseshoes and for the bit and for the straps and things, but I think she looks really good. There we go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 7:45, so it is time to end. I am going to run away now. But thank you so much for all the very, very generous super chats today. That was very, very kind of you. I really appreciate the support, guys. Thank you so, so very much. Like I said, like I've been saying the last 20 minutes or so, without you guys, it just doesn't work. So, you're legends. Legends of the stream and legends of the channel. Yeah, so this Thursday, Contrast Plus How to Paint Ogre Gluttons will be coming out. Wednesday, I would love to try, but let me just look at the old weather forecast, because on Wednesday it's going to be 33 degrees, which means we'll be pushing 40 degrees Celsius up here on Wednesday, so absolutely no chance that I'll be streaming in that heat, or painting, or doing anything, you know. So, yep. Another 2 days completely lost. But there we go. What are you going to do about it, eh? Cry about it, probably. It's supposed to rain all next week, which is really not helpful. To me, this week. Why can't it be this week? Anyway, we probably won't be streaming on Wednesday, but there will be a video on Thursday, and then there'll be videos on Saturday, hopefully. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today. You are the best, and I will see you all very soon. Eventually, we're going to have regular streams back. We can blame global warming and climate change for this mess that we're in right now. So I will see you all very soon in the next one. Love you guys. Bye for now. Ta-da!